Right now, somewhere between 25 and 30% of every dollar you spend on heating and cooling is being lost through your windows. Not your walls, not your roof, your windows. The U.S. Department of Energy measured this. Every square foot of glass in your home loses more heat in winter and gains more heat in summer than any other surface you own. They put the national cost of energy wasted through windows at over $20 billion a year. Just the waste. And your windows cover about 15% of your wall space. A small fraction of your home surface is responsible for a third of the money leaving it. You probably already have curtains hanging on most of those windows, and those curtains are doing almost nothing. A standard curtain hung on a rod, the way every curtain in every home in America is hung, reduces heat loss through the window behind it by about 10%. The Department of Energy's own number, 10%, is barely enough to notice on a bill. The same curtain, same fabric, same window, when sealed against the frame with adhesive Velcro tape along both sides and a simple board across the top, reduces heat loss by 25 to 38%. Same curtain. The only difference is $5 worth of Velcro in 15 minutes. That is a published number. A researcher named Baker, working for Historic Scotland, tested this across buildings with original single-glazed sash windows in Scottish winters. Properly sealed curtains reduced heat loss through those windows by up to 38%. Not new curtains, not expensive curtains. Curtains that were fitted to the frame so air could not circulate behind them. The window upgrade that achieves the same insulation improvement costs $300 to $800 per window installed. A 10-window house runs $3,000 to $8,000. Or you could spend $5 per window on Velcro tape on a Saturday morning. Here is why the seal matters. And once you see this, you will notice it every time you stand near a window for the rest of your life. When a curtain hangs loose on a rod, there are gaps along the top, along both sides, and along the bottom. Warm air from your room rises and rolls over the top of the curtain. It touches the cold glass behind it. That air loses heat, becomes heavier, and slides down the glass surface. It pools at the bottom and spills out under the curtain across your floor as a cold draft. Meanwhile, more warm room air is pulled in over the top to replace it. You have a convection loop. It is a miniature engine running behind your curtain, pulling warmth out of your living room and feeding it to the coldest surface in the house. The curtain is not blocking the process, it is funneling it. Seal the edges and that engine stops. Velcro along both sides of the frame. A pelmet or a board across the top. Fabric touching the sill or the floor. Now the air behind the curtain has nowhere to go. It goes still. And still air is one of the best insulators on earth. That is the exact same principle that makes double-pane windows work. Two sheets of glass with a trapped air gap between them. Your sealed curtain creates the same dead air pocket, except it costs $5 instead of $300, and it goes up in the time it takes to make breakfast. A study by Feather, published in 1980, confirms something that should have changed how every homeowner thinks about their windows. The driving factor in curtain energy savings was not the weight of the fabric, not the material, not even whether the curtain was specifically marketed as a thermal product. It was how well the curtain was sealed at the perimeter. That single variable, the seal, determined more of the thermal performance than anything else about the curtain. 45 years of published research. The same conclusion every time. The people who understood this best figured it out 700 years ago. The heavy woven tapestries that covered the walls of medieval castles were not decoration, they were insulation. Stone walls radiated cold. Glass was a luxury most buildings did not have. And the windows that existed were open slits covered with shutters or animal hide. Nobles hung thick wool tapestries specifically to trap air between the fabric and the stone, a dead air barrier that held warmth inside the room. English heritage documents this as a primary heating strategy from the 12th century onward. Those tapestries traveled with the household from castle to castle, rolled up like carpets because they were considered essential equipment, not art. Same physics, same principle. Heavy fabric plus a sealed air gap equals thermal resistance. That knowledge survived until the transition to a window industry that makes more money selling you glass than reminding you how fabric works. Now, Pacific Northwest National Laboratory took this further in a controlled whole-house experiment. They used two identical factory-built homes at their Lab Homes facility in Richland, Washington. The homes had the same windows, the same heating systems, and the same orientation. One house had insulated window coverings on every window. The other had standard vinyl blinds. Researchers measured heating, ventilation, and air conditioning energy use across the full heating and cooling seasons. The insulated coverings reduced heating energy by 17.6% and cooling energy by over 10%. Same house, same glass. The only variable was what hung in front of it, and that 17.6% was the whole house number, not just the window. Total HVAC energy for the entire building was reduced by nearly a fifth from window coverings alone. So here's the full picture of what this costs and what it does. If you already have curtains, even regular ones, the Velcro seal runs about $5 per window. Use adhesive-backed Velcro strips along both sides of the frame and add a simple board or fabric valance across the top to block airflow over the rod. Make sure the curtain reaches the floor or the sill. Total materials for an entire house are $30 to $50 in one afternoon of work. Heat loss through the glass drops by 25 to 38%. If you want to push it further, swap in a purpose-made thermal curtain. Use dense multi-layer fabric with a white or reflective backing. The backing bounces radiant heat back into the room in winter and back toward the glass in summer. These run $25 to $40 a panel at most retailers. Combined with the Velcro seal, you are pushing the window's R value from R1 up to R5 or R6. That is single pane performance pushed to near triple pane territory. All in, that is under $50 per window. An equivalent window replacement runs $300 to $800 installed, and the replacement still needs curtains in front of it to perform at its best. And there is one more piece to this that almost nobody does, even though the Department of Energy specifically recommends it. Open your curtains during sunny winter days. Sunlight hitting your floor, your furniture, your interior walls through south-facing glass is free heat. Real thermal energy delivered into your home at zero cost. Close the curtains and press the Velcro shut as soon as the sun drops. You collect free solar heat all day and lock it inside all night. In summer, reverse it. Seal the curtains during peak sun hours to block 1/3 of the solar heat gain that would otherwise pour through the glass. Open them in the evening. That is the whole system. Open, close, seal. The Velcro peels apart in a second and presses shut in a second. No tools, no effort, just a habit. The Department of Energy found that 75% of residential window coverings remain in the same position every single day. 3/4 of American households are not using the window treatments they already own. Now, nobody suppressed this. That is not what happened. There is no meeting where the window industry decided to bury Velcro tape. The real reason most people do not do this is simpler than that. It does not look great. A strip of Velcro on a window frame is not going to make the cover of an interior design magazine. And the home improvement industry sells aspiration. New windows, new frames, clean lines, showroom finishes. A strip of adhesive Velcro is the opposite of that. But here is what is worth thinking about. When the curtain is closed, the Velcro is behind the fabric. You cannot see it. When the curtain is open, the strips on the frame are thin, flat, and barely noticeable unless you're looking for them. You're not choosing between beautiful windows and ugly windows. You are choosing between thin strips of Velcro you will forget are there in a week, or continuing to pay 25 to 38% more in heating and cooling losses through every window in your house, every day for as long as you own it. The global window and door industry generates over $250 billion a year. Nobody along that chain, from the glass manufacturer to the installer, benefits from pointing at a $5 roll of adhesive tape. The product is on the shelf. It has been on the shelf for decades. The research has been published since 1980. And the difference between a curtain that saves you 10% and a curtain that saves you 38% is not what you bought. It is how you hung it. Your heating system is not fighting your climate. It is fighting your windows, and the cheapest, fastest fix for the worst performing surface in your house is not a new window. It is the curtain you already own, sealed to the frame, open during the day, and closed at night. The same principle that kept medieval castles warm through English winters 700 years ago. The physics did not change. The curtain did not change. The only thing that changed is that nobody makes money telling you about it. If this simple physics-based solution changes how you look at your home's efficiency, please subscribe and like this video. We are uncovering the practical wisdom and hidden science that the big industries often overlook. Let's reclaim your home's energy and save your future. Our next deep dive into the secrets of everyday technology will be opening soon.